And now, the Husker Athletic Director Show with Bill Moos, presented by the Woodhouse Auto Family. Woodhouse Auto Family. Shop Woodhouse first. 18 brands, 18 locations, one team to help you get on the road faster. Woodhouse Auto Family, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. And now, here's your host, Greg Sharp.
Thank you. Welcome to our monthly sit-down with the athletic director for the Cornhuskers, Bill Moos. We'd like to invite you to be a part of the program as well at 866-HUSKER-1, 866-487-5371. It's a rarity. You're in town. You have just been all over the globe the last couple of weeks.
Well, we got lots going on. And just got back from California, spent a couple days at the NCAA convention in Anaheim, and then on up and had a couple donor events in the Bay Area. So good work, good things happening, good vibes out there, and get back, catch up on a few things at the office, and go to Atlanta and Naples in Florida for a couple days here at the end of the week.
Just never ends. Never stops for you.
No 2 days are the same, and that's kind of nice.
You had a real neat thing to be a part of at the NCAA convention, because that's where Anton Stevenson, our tremendous now alumni men's gymnast, was awarded the really prestigious NCAA Top 10 award. That is a really big deal.
It is a huge deal, and we should be, and of course we are, but all Huskers should be very proud of Anton. He's the kind of guy that you want to marry your daughter. You know, he's a fabulous individual, great athlete, leader within the student athletes, and very deserving. So really happy for him. That's not the last we're going to hear from Anton. He's going to make things happen the rest of his life.
Whatever he chooses to do, he is up at UNMC now, as he wants to be a doctor. He'll be incredible about that. So that was, I'm sure it was a fun and proud moment for you to be out there and part of representing the University of Nebraska for that.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at through the years the number of conference and national honorees we've had. Now, I'm not talking about on the field of competition, but classroom and individual honors like Anton's and all that is very, very impressive. We should all be proud of that.
Very cool. And then last month, Angela Mercurio was named the NCAA Women's of the Year. So just incredible honors for our student athletes.
Remember, there's only one Woman of the Year.
Yeah, and she's
and
it.
So both of those in the same academic year, the same 12 months. And so, yeah, really says a lot for us, and doesn't always get on the front page. I'm glad it's our lead story tonight, and we'll talk about it some more, I know, as we go to all these events that we're going to, the Chancellor and I and our coaches. So should be
a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Since we last had you on, a couple of changes to the football staff for Scott Frost. One is a very familiar name in Mike Dawson, who was on the staff 2 years ago, made the jump to the National Football League and was a part of a staff with the New York Giants that was relieved of duties at the end of the year. So kind of a natural for him to come back. And then a young man in Matt Lubick, who you know real well, and Scott Frost obviously knows very well, now back as the offensive coordinator.
Well, I'm glad to see Mike back. Of course, he's familiar with what we're doing. I understood when he left to go to the NFL and get that pension money and those things. But most people that have coached in the NFL that have gone from college ranks want to get back after a while because it's a different world. And he's a tremendous coach, good recruiter. Will take over our outside linebackers and really feel good about that on the defensive side. I know Scott does. And then Matt Lubick that you mentioned, he and Scott were together at Oregon when Mark Helfrich took over as the head coach. Of course, he moved Scott from the receivers coach to the offensive coordinator, and Matt slid in as the receivers coach there. So they've worked well together. And Greg, we talked before we went on the show, it's so important for Scott to have somebody that sees things the same way he does. Whether it's right or wrong or whatever, they have to be on the same page. I know were some concerns by some, and Scott being one, that we were just a little bit off kilter some, and you saw it calling the games. Maybe a delay, maybe not the right play called, picking the formations and this and that. It's not easy to have someone that really knows what's happened. I know in other coaches I've worked with, there's been same head coach, but good combos and bad combos, and usually the scoreboard reflects it. Now, Matt Lubick comes from football blood.
Oh, boy.
Sonny Lubick, his father, storied coach at Colorado State, is a Butte, Montana guy, coached at Montana State, actually recruited John Johnson on my staff back a long time ago, and just a jewel of a guy. And actually, the field at Colorado State is named after him. Matt got into coaching and was actually on Dennis Erickson's staff, I know, at Arizona State when my son was playing there, and did a marvelous job for Dennis down there. And he was at the University of Washington with Chris Peterson. So, again, when you get in, the longer you're in this business, the world condenses, and you know everybody and how they worked around through the industry and end up where they are. And so pleased to have both those guys. Going to make us better.
We had Matt on Sports On It last week, and we talked about this past year for him, because he left coaching for a year, moved back to the Fort Collins area, and he just said he felt like he had to kind of rebalance his life a little bit. You've been around coaches all your life. They put in crazy hours. I think it's probably not a bad idea for everybody to have maybe a year like that in their 40s or 50s or whatever it is, to recharge the batteries a little bit.
You know, I'm not here to talk about me, but I left it for 3 years and realized I missed it a lot, but it was a sabbatical. Mike Leach, who was my coach at Washington State, didn't want to be out of it, but was for 4 years, and he came back better. And I've seen this. You look at Bob Stoops, you look at Urban Meyer, just recently Chris Peterson, all in their early, mid-50s. They're burnt out. And all the things, the challenges that are starting to bear their heads, the name, image, and likeness thing, all of the transfer portal and all of that that's happening, and the potential of pay for play, there's a whole lot of other things that are being put on the table for a head coach today and athletic directors that weren't there 18 months ago.
It's amazing you still have hair.
Not much.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, we announced April 18th will be the spring game.
Yep.
What about tickets? Can you shed any light on that, about when that might be made available for people? Because I know we'll be getting some questions about that as we turn the corner into February here.
Well, the tickets for the spring game are going to go on sale next Tuesday.
There you go.
For our current season ticket holders, and then Wednesday to the general public. And, you know, we adjusted that last year from the year before.
Yeah, you limited a little bit.
And I listened, and I listened to our fans, many of whom can't get tickets in the fall. So their only exposure, live exposure, is spring football. And that's part of the reason, you know, we've had close to 90,000 in attendance the last 2 years. So we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see what's going to be on our fall football field in the fall, and so that is exactly how we're doing it. We led the nation, and I just talked about the attendance the last 2 years. Led the nation, not the Big Ten, the nation, and I'm sure we'll draw that many again this year. Incredible. I brag about that to my friends in the business, and they absolutely can't believe it. But you've seen it. I've seen it. It's for real.
It's like an 8th home game.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
So Tuesday for season ticket holders, Wednesday for the general public. So there you go. That question has been out there, so you've answered that tonight. That'll make a lot of people happy and make them thinking about spring.
Yes.
Which is, it's fine. It's been cold out here.
Yeah, and they're going to tease us a little bit. We'll get a little nice weather, but you know what's out there. There's a couple more real good cold fronts going to hit us before long.
I think your season ticket renewals have gone out. Any idea? Are you getting good response back on those?
Oh, yeah. People, know that it's about to happen. You've seen it. We talked about some coaching changes. We've seen our second straight top 25 recruiting class. We're starting to see the walk-on program produce and develop players. And we've got a good, tough schedule next year. But we'll be in a lot better position to face a schedule like that in Scott's third year. So all good. We're moving it right. Lots of momentum on the new building. We're well over halfway there in raising the money. And it's being talked about. It helped us so much in recruiting. It helps in attracting these coaches we just talked about. All good.
Very good. Bill Moos is with us, 866-HUSKER, 1-866-487-5371. The number if you want to dot us up with a comment or question as you're listening here to the Woodhouse Auto Family Athletic Directors Show for the month of January. You can dot us up on our Woodhouse Auto Family Sports Alley hotline, bringing you more choices in brands, locations, and service. Experience the difference. Purchase with confidence. This is Woodhouse. More with Bill. Welcome you back to our Athletic Directors Show for the month of January, brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto Family. Shop Woodhouse first, 18 brands, 18 locations, one team to help you get on the road faster. Woodhouse Auto Family, it's the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. 866-HUSKER, 1-866-487-5371, the number if you want to dot us up with a comment or question. We're 9 days away from what used to be kind of a hallowed holiday in college sports, and that was the February signing period. And yet, we've talked to some of our folks here in the last couple days, and they think maybe one, maybe two are going to sign. Everybody's signing early. How surprised are you that it's gone that big to the early period for college football?
Well, I'm surprised, but I want to say I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, I had the good fortune of serving on the committee that really explored this early signing period, which was favored by a lot of institutions, but we debated as to when that date should be. Some people were talking this summer, some mid-season. There was all kinds of approaches to it, but I think as it turned out, it's been very, very good. And our first year with a coaching change, I think we were about 50-50 early and late signees. Last year we had a lot more early, and now this year, as you mentioned, I think we had 23. Wasn't that 22 or 23?
Mm-hmm.
And so we just got a couple more. So our fans have got to learn about the future Huskers. We have several of them enrolled.
9 of them.
In 9 of them that are going classes and in the weight room and working out and will be involved in spring football. So I think I'm pleasantly pleased and glad we went that way.
Very good. All right, basketball, about mid-season. In fact, Amy Williams coming up here on Sports Alley after you tonight. The men's team has not won a lot of games, but they've been in a lot of games. Your thoughts about year one for Fred Hoiberg?
Well, we our record is 7-13 and 2-7 in the Big Ten. We've had some nice wins, but my opinion is that of Fred Hoiberg's. We're playing hard. We're competing hard. We keep getting better and better. And of course, PBA is a tough place to come play. We've been on the road quite a bit here lately, and now we're coming back for a nice stand. And I like our chances tomorrow against Michigan. I think and I'm not going to talk about matchups or anything like that. I just know that we have a home court advantage, and that's happening in the Big Ten. It is, and that's going to be. It's going to be nice to be home for a while and get back acclimated. It's a strain on classwork. Travel is always tough when you're not in your own bed and you're not in your own gym, but everybody has to do it. And so it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to this stretch at home.
We've been good at home in games. I saw you before the Iowa game. That was a fun night at PBA. We beat the Hawkeyes a couple weeks ago, and that was a terrific night.
Yeah, fueled that rivalry.
Yeah.
I love to see that. So Amy, who's going to be on here later tonight, and I think really doing a great job. She has since she arrived.
Yeah.
And we're looking good. We're 15-5 and 5-4. She had a big win this last week, very impressive. I sent her a text and congratulated her. I'll give her a big hug tonight. But we're playing well and really being supported very, very solidly in PBA for her program as well. So I think we're sitting good. And you and I are talking in the break, and you know we've talked about this. I've had the pleasure of hiring 9 new head coaches in my first couple of years, and all those programs and the ones that are being led by coaches that were here when I arrived, it's all coming together really nice. A good group of coaches, 20, 21, 22, that's kind of where I have my sights of everything's in place. Recruiting classes have been built upon each other. Coaching staffs are solid, and our great fan base is as super as always. Could and should be a real good period right in there to take us, to the promised land where we know how that feels previously.
Very good. Let's take some calls. Let's head to Columbus first tonight. And Mark. Good evening, Mark. You're up with Bill Moos.
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Good, Mark. How are things up there?
Oh, not bad. Just waiting for the snow to melt and fall sports to start. Fall. I'm jumping way ahead. Hey, I got a question for you. I've been watching a lot of basketball lately. And the coaches carrying cancer situations. And I was wondering if anything was ever thought maybe the Huskers could do that, or you talked to some of your cohorts in the conference, or when the other ADs get together and see if something could be implemented like that maybe in the fall season, either with the football team, the volleyball teams, or something like that. So my wife's a 2-time cancer survivor and stay with my parents, so it's something that I think it's a really good deal, and I think we don't stop there, hit it in the fall too. So I'll hang up and listen to your comment. Thanks again.
You're welcome, Mark, and happy to hear that your wife's a cancer survivor. My mother was, and actually several others in my family. I think most people, one way or another, have been touched with that terrible disease. And Coaches versus Cancer was really and continues to grow, but revolved around Jim Valvano at North Carolina State. And his courageous fight with cancer and of course his national championship and all that energy that he had, that people are not letting the ball stop bouncing in that sport, and it's been very good. But anytime we can bring awareness, we do it locally in several ways, and a lot of it having to do with cancer and how we support it in this state's absolutely amazing. I'm a cattleman, and that cattleman's ball each year, which nets over $1.5 million for cancer research. It's just heartwarming, and to maybe expand that into some of our other sports just on a local level might be the first approach, and see how my peers in the conference like it. Maybe around the country, it'd probably take a while for it to catch on.
Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, college basketball has done a wonderful job with that, and you're right, it goes back to Jim Valvano. Let's go to Grand Island next. Mike, you're up with the athletic director.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. First, I just want to say I am super excited for women's basketball. I'm actually going to my first game this year. I'm really pumped about it. But my question is, last week we had that horrible KU-KSU fight, and I'm curious, I know you've been reported very hands-off. As an AD, if that, man, I hope it never happens to us, but if that would happen to a school that you're AD at, how would you handle that? And I'll hang up and listen to your comment.
Well, you handle it proactively. That's not permissible. We are representing this wonderful institution and this great state, and we have a responsibility as role models, as leaders, as stewards, ambassadors. We want to make sure we're recruiting the right character, and that they know that this is not tolerated, and they do. So Yes, I am hands off. I can get hands on real fast if things like this happen. But fortunately, again, we were talking about the quality of coaches that we have, that I'd be very surprised if anything like this happened. That's a big rivalry, Kansas State. These things usually bear their ugly heads during rivalries. The chit-chat, the trash talk, the media can feed it sometimes. And you got to be especially on guard when you're in a rivalry game. Many times it's home state athletes against home state athletes, and who's going to have the bragging rights and who's going to be talking about that victory in 25 or 30 years. But the fact of the matter is, these are young men and women who represent their universities, and they have to live to a higher standard.
Very good. It was a bad sight. You've been a part of rivalries. Washington State, Washington, obviously, Oregon State, the Civil War game in football. I mean, you've been around where temperatures get raised up and a lot of things get out of whack.
Yeah, and you know, again, how they are taught proactively. We talk about it in all student-athlete meetings and all this. They know that will not be tolerated.
Yeah. Bill Moos with us till the top of the hour. Amy Williams show at the top of the hour. Still time for you to jump on board. If you have a comment or question for Bill, 866-HUSKER-1, 866-487-5371. Dorothy Lynch, Homestyle Dressing and Condiment. It's the one-of-a-kind taste that goes with anything, good for game day or any day. Dorothy Lynch, endless flavorabilities. Back with more with Bill coming up. Woodhouse first, 18 brands, 18 locations. One team to help you get on the road faster. Woodhouse Auto Family. It's the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Here are the numbers if you want to be a part of this one. 866-HUSKER-1, 866-487-5371. To the phones we go. Tricia in Lincoln, you're up with Bill Moos. Good evening.
Hi. My question tonight, we have women's basketball tickets, and they're incredibly fun to go watch. My question is, when the athletic directors get together, do they discuss the inconsistencies that we're seeing with the officiating this year at all?
It's always a topic, really, in all sports. And it never seems like we're always that all 14 ADs or senior women's administrators or what have you are always of the same opinion. But it is discussed. Those people are they're reviewed after each contest. Sometimes they're suspended. But you know, the game, even the women's game, has gotten so fast that things are missed sometimes. Replay has been helpful. But by and large, for the most part, some of the best basketball officials in the country are in the Big Ten. And then if they're not up to snuff, they don't get assignments, and eventually maybe drops. So I know we get. I saw some in a couple women's games that I've seen that were questionable, and Pat Logston on my staff, who really oversees women's basketball and volleyball and others, is on the phone and talking to the conference office when there's a problem.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate your support of the Huskers. Friday night, I know you were out of town. There was quite a spectacle at the Devaney Center. Can you believe 6,000 folks turned out to watch the Huskers and the Penn State Nittany Lions in a wrestling duel? Isn't that something?
I had members of my staff report that today. Garrett Classy, who did go, was a senior lieutenant for me, and he, or lieutenant deputy, I get all these titles mixed up sometimes. But anyway, he said that it was amazing, as loud as any volleyball event that he's been to, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me. We got passionate wrestling fans, and they're not always the same that are volleyball or basketball fans. It's a kind of a world of its own in some regards, but outstanding. And we did get a big win yesterday. And
beat Sparty.
Yeah, beat Sparty. Like to do that. And Penn State's really good. We had them right down to the wire. So Mark Manning continues to do a great job for us.
Sure does. Yesterday was the Tumble Rumble. Men's gymnastics going on at the same time as wrestling. That's always fun. That drew over 3,000 fans. Your women's gymnastics team, they also beat Sparta yesterday up in East Lansing, and they are so excited. I've talked to both head coaches, Chuck Schmelk on the men's side and Heather Brink on the women's side. You're just a couple of weeks away from opening up your Francis Allen Training Center out there at the Devaney
Yes, we are, and it's a little late, but that happens primarily because the equipment isn't here yet. The building's ready to go, but you can't do a lot of get a lot done in a finished building without the equipment. So that got delayed a little bit. Should be completely ready to go in 10 to 14 days, Greg. So looking forward to that. I can't wait to see it.
Very good. It's another little check mark you've been able to do since you took over here, and it's certainly going to be a help to both those programs.
Oh, literally have come from the outhouse to the penthouse. So we're going to be very proud of that. It's as fine as there is in the country.
Yeah. And the ball bat sports, Bill.
Yes.
The softball team opens in about 9-10 days, baseball in a couple of weeks. Can you believe that? Almost here.
Well, I can. It's just about February. That's when all those things get in full gear and we start competing. Really excited about our new leadership in baseball. Rhonda Ravel doing a nice job with softball, and excited for that to get going. And it seems like we were just in our fall season yesterday, but here we go, ready to get after it. Have to go down south, get some games in down there, but and it gets you back to work.
Yeah. Get me on the road again.
That's it.
Get me out of Lincoln for that. So, yeah, it's a busy time of year because you have so many things going. And before we know it, spring football will be here. They get going with their spring practices in early March. Also, I don't want to leave out Gary Pepin. He might be listening and be mad at me. Indoor season's going on for your track teams.
That's right. And going well. You know, I don't know if our listeners realize it, but roughly 1/5 of our student athletes are track and field athletes.
Wow.
And, you start to think, hey, boy, you got the men's side, the women's side, and then the cross-country piece and all of that. So really excited about the facility we're going to be building for them, new track facility out at Innovation Campus, really going to give them a nice feel when you have the indoor and outdoor just stone's throw from each other, and then of course the offices and locker rooms and everything right there, and it'll be a really nice facility, and that's in conjunction with our Go Big project that we've talked about and will continue to talk about for the next couple of years.
Okay. I know that there's been a main kind of contractor now hired for the Go Big project. What's the timeline? Are you looking at some things maybe happening this spring, this summer? Give us a little update on that.
We've selected both our architect and our contractor. Of course, they are working together now and working hard. We're sticking with our late spring, early summer groundbreaking. A lot of that, of course, will have to do with the fundraising element, but as I mentioned earlier, we're moving that along very nicely as well. So, hey, we're hoping to be in there on time. And again, we start talking about that 21, 22. That's about the time that facility will be open.
So this will be the final year for the Ed Weir track where it's located now, and you'll probably move some dirt there and then start the new one out at Innovation Campus.
That's right. And our athletes will be misplaced for a while because it's a year-round sport. You've got the fall cross country, you got the indoor, you got the outdoor, and then you're right back at it again. So they'll be displaced a little bit. We've worked all that out, but we hope that we can get the track completed before the following outdoor season hits.
Right.
And of course, when you're working with groundwork like that and the surfaces, you have to have the right kind of weather. So that window of opportunity has to be taken advantage of, and I think we got a real good plan there.
Very good. 866-HUSKER-1, 866-487-5371. You can dial us up on our Sports Nightly hotline, brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto Family, bringing you more choices in brands, locations, and service. Experience the difference. Purchase with confidence. This is Woodhouse. Still time for you to jump on board with Bill. We're back with our final segment of this month's show. Next, the road faster. Woodhouse Auto Family, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Second semester underway at UNL. We mentioned a couple of the sports. Swim team's doing really well. 5-1, and I know that's still a project it's on your to-do list at some point in time, as well as the Natatorium out there at the Devaney Center.
Yeah, That is on the list, and it's doable.
Is it?
It's and we've explored different ways to approach that. And one is to partner with campus recreation to have something that is really, really first class and can benefit all of our students, not just student athletes. So we're looking at that and locations and that kind of thing, and of course the costs involved with it. But once we get the football project, the track thing up, the gymnastics facilities done, the golf, we're working on a golf solution that I can't talk about yet, but it is exciting. Hopefully I can before the spring's over on the program. But swimming, that pool was built in the mid-'70s, so the size is not up to regulation. The diving tank isn't. And certainly the spectator piece and such, it really needs to be addressed, and that's being looked at, a lot of focus on it.
Very good. Again, spring game tickets, that got brought up earlier. If you just joined us, they go on sale to the season ticket holders next Tuesday, to the general public on Wednesday, so be thinking about that. April the 18th is the spring game this year at Memorial Stadium. Let's go back to the phones, out to Grand Island. Greg, you're up with Bill Moos.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. I wanted to mention real quick, I called into Coach Cook's coaches show a month ago and asked him about men's volleyball and if he thought it would be successful. And he said that he was all for it. He does think it would be really successful. How do you balance, like, something like that would be financially viable, very, very popular, versus, like, I'm not picking on the swim team, but I'm just going to say it, like the swim team or some of the lesser-known sports, golf, for example, where you just don't have the following. How do we, as a fan, show our support for that kind of a change? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks, Greg, and that's a good question. What it really boils down to is the competition, who in the league, who in the Big Ten competes in men's volleyball. I don't think there's anybody.
No.
And the other piece is the numbers, the Title IX piece of we are in compliance right now. We may be a couple percentage points off, and so our listeners, to refresh their memories, to be in compliance, in basic terms, we have to provide the opportunities for women compared to men in the same proportion as the undergraduate enrollment. And so we're about 52-48 right now, and so that we need to reflect that in our scholarships and our programs that we're offering, but primarily the head counts, the numbers. And so if we added a men's volleyball team, we'd be out of whack. We'd have to add something on the women's side. There is a reason, and I'm very proud of both these programs, but there is a reason we have women's bowling and women's rifle. It adds women's participants to offset the numbers on the men's side, which are primarily driven by football, which is the engine that pulls the train in regards to the revenue piece. So what I'd like to say about the programs we offer right now, 24 programs, I want to see them all successful, competitive in the Big Ten Conference, which is a tough conference. We need to stay solvent in our budget, which is growing without adding sports, and make sure that we are serving the state as well, the needs of our young people in the state of Nebraska and what they're interested in if they go on and want to compete at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Greg, appreciate the phone call. All right, I've been seeing some reports that your new commissioner has been making some media rounds. I believe he's at the Indiana campus today. This is Kevin Warren, as the new commissioner of the Big Ten Conference. You've had a little bit of time. He's replacing a giant. Those are big, big shoes he's jumping into.
Well, we talked about Jim Delaney and all he has done, not just for the Big Ten Conference, but for college athletics in a literally a storied career. Kevin comes in, very impressed with him, comes from the Minnesota Vikings. I've listened to him last Thursday, the Chancellor and I, and members of my staff. I think he's got a real good vision for where the conference will go and where he wants to see it go. He's a good listener, very articulate. I think going to be a very good and easy person to work with. But there'll be some new flares in what we're going to be doing, and I'm eager to see the course that the conference takes under his leadership.
Yeah, he's an interesting man. I've listened to a few interviews with him. I'm anxious to meet him. Hopefully, he comes to Lincoln soon to kind of get the lay of the land here.
He will.
Have you invited him?
Oh yeah, that's an open invitation.
Got to do that. And I know we have about a minute left. New president, Ted Carter's his feet are on the ground now.
Yes, I've had opportunity to visit with him and get him up to speed on our facilities, current facilities, and what we're building and some of the needs that we have. Again, a very engaging, very bright individual with a great background, and thrilled, like myself and so many others, to be a part of the University of Nebraska.
Very good. We're looking forward to chatting with him a lot coming up in the near future. Good to see you. Glad to catch you one night when you're in Lincoln. Safe travels as you're moving your way around during this time of year.
Thank you, Greg. My pleasure.
Bill Moos with us here for our monthly show. Coming up next hour, it's our women's basketball show for the week. Amy Williams in studio. She'll be ready to take your calls and comments. That's coming up next.